Have you ever been looking up at the night sky and thought you saw something fly past? Maybe it moved so fast you couldn't see it very well. Maybe it was a trick of the light. Or maybe you've never seen a flying saucer, but you really want to. The idea of creatures from another world visiting ours makes you curious, or maybe a bit scared. Well, you're in the right place. You're listening to Aliens Should Really Wear Pants, the all-ages podcast about aliens, unidentified anomalous phenomena, and outer space, where we take an open-minded but critical look at all things extraterrestrial. I'm Jesse Barbin, and I'll be your host.
I believe that aliens look like, just kind of like reptilian, almost like scaly and like green and all that stuff.
Aliens, they have giant heads, and sometimes they could be green, and sometimes they could be red, sometimes they could be gray.
I think aliens look like they have huge heads. Sometimes they have medium-ish sized eyes, kind of in the middle. And some aliens are really, really tall. I think aliens look like they're green and they have big heads. And why they have visited Earth, because like they might need like resources, or they may like want to like check out other planets, or like experiment on different things from Earth.
Today we are talking about extraterrestrials, which literally means people or creatures who are from somewhere other than Earth. We sometimes call them aliens. It's possible that there's alien life on other planets and in other solar systems or other places in the galaxy or in the universe. It's possible that some of those aliens have visited Earth. However, as it stands now, we don't have any hard scientific evidence that aliens exist or that they have ever visited Earth. We do have a lot of eyewitness accounts of people claiming to have seen aliens, but before we start going over this information, it's important to remember that there are many factors to consider when we are evaluating evidence. So, to be clear, we're not saying aliens don't exist, but with any of this information, we need to think carefully and critically about it. Take everything we say today with a grain of salt.
I don't think that aliens have visited Earth, because there's no signs of life before human and dinosaurs and stuff like that, or any proof.
I think they have, because they have crashed. There has been sightings of people have seen aliens, and there was a so-called, first it was called an alien ship, a spaceship, and then it got called other different things, but there has been other sightings, so I do think they have visited Earth before.
When people claim to get visited by aliens, one of the things they will try to remember is what they looked like, which can be hard to do. Sometimes they can't remember. Sometimes what they can remember is hazy or unclear. Some remember very clearly. From all of these collected stories, some different themes start to emerge. We see that there are many diverse kinds of aliens, but out of all of those, we could say that there are three main types of alien visitors. Number 1, the Greys. Number 2, Nordic aliens. And number 3, the Reptilians. These are the top 3 aliens, if you will, and we're going to go over each one. The main group, and these are the ones that most people know, are what we call the Greys. And we call them that because in a lot of the stories they're said to have gray skin. Sometimes it has been reported as green, but most reports have it as gray. They are humanoid, which means they're roughly shaped like a human being. They have arms and legs and a head, but otherwise they can look different than us. They are only a little over 3 feet tall in a lot of cases, so they are not quite as tall as people. They have shiny black almond-shaped eyes with a face like Lord Voldemort. So that means they have no nose, just nostrils and a slit for a mouth and no ears. They are often described as not wearing any clothes, which is where our podcast gets its name. Can you imagine waking up in the night and seeing some shiny black eyes looking at you in the darkness? And as your eyes start to adjust, you realize there is a creature with smooth gray skin standing at the foot of your bed, and he's not wearing any pants? Terrifying. Some people say the Greys come from the Zeta Reticuli star system, which is 39 light years away from Earth. The Greys are the most popular of the three groups of aliens, mostly because when people claim to see aliens, percentage-wise, it's usually the Greys. So you could say they're the most prolific and also the most sneaky of the bunch. The reasons they come to Earth are not always clear, and people have given different reasons why they think they were visited by a Grey alien. Some people think they come to study and experiment on human beings. The Grey aliens crashed onto the scene near Roswell, New Mexico in 1947. And a lot of what we know about this crash and the advent of the Grey aliens comes from newspaper articles written at the time. It started one morning when a rancher in rural New Mexico found debris or wrecked pieces on his ranch land. He said it looked like tinfoil and rubber and wooden beams, and it was spread out over several acres of his land. He drove to tell the local sheriff and the nearby town of Roswell, New Mexico. Things started to get more complicated almost immediately. The sheriff then called the United States Air Force, who had an airfield in Roswell, and they came out to pick up the scattered pieces. The airfield issued a public statement stating that the United States Air Force had found a flying disc, but after one day, the military came out with another statement saying it was only a crashed weather balloon, and people lost interest pretty quickly after that. That's it. That's the story. But wait, you say, what about the aliens? Well, they don't appear in the original reports and news articles about the incident, which is curious. They didn't show up until the 1980s when a book called The Roswell Incident was published. The authors added the Greys into the Roswell story based on other incidents and purported eyewitness accounts of people who claimed that they saw small gray bodies being carried away from the crash site. But why are we only hearing about this 33 years later? It all sounds a bit suspicious to me. Many years later, it came out that the debris was probably from a government spy balloon meant to gather information about Russia. So we have to ask ourselves, did an alien ship, a quote-unquote flying saucer, really crash near Roswell, New Mexico? And furthermore, were there aliens on board? And did they survive the crash? Which parts of this story are true? The conclusion we come to here on Aliens Should Wear Pants is, it is hard to say. There is so much more to be said about Roswell, and we can go more in depth in a few weeks from now, but today we'll just mention it briefly in our summary of the Greys because it gives a quick look into how complicated the history is, and how difficult it can be to tell the fact from the fiction. This brings us to the second place spot, where we put the Nordic aliens. These aliens look a lot like humans, and they are supposed to look like people who come from the Nordic countries like Denmark, Finland, Iceland, Norway, and Sweden. In the reports from the people who've alleged to have seen them, they are tall with blonde hair and blue eyes. So, if you saw a Nordic alien in your room at night, you would be scared, but at least they wear pants. So that is a plus. With the Nordic aliens, people started claiming to see these tall blonde cutie pies around the 1950s. While people contacted by the Greys are left feeling scared and unsettled and report generally having a bad time, people contacted by the Nordic aliens report a positive experience. These aliens are said to communicate by telepathy, but that means they can hear and send thoughts to humans. In a lot of accounts, they are concerned with the health of Earth's environment, and they want to teach people about the Earth and how to care for it, and this is kind of what their visits usually entail. There's a little bit of education. They give warnings about how to take care of the planet. They're alleged to have come from the Pleiades star cluster, around 440 light years from Earth. That brings us to our final group, the Reptilians. They are also humanoid aliens, so they look like people-sized lizards that can stand up and walk on two legs, in some tellings. They have scaly skin and are sometimes described as having yellow or red eyes. They mostly appear in fiction and conspiracy theories, but there are some people who believe that there are lizard people walking the Earth right now as we speak. In science fiction, they're usually portrayed as an alien race that comes to Earth for different evil, nefarious purposes. The usual purpose is to try and eat people, In some cases, they do it by pretending to be human, and eventually taking over everything, and then eating people. And in some cases, they just start eating people without all the other subterfuge and sneakiness. As far as reptilians actually being real and actually coming to Earth, it is very murky. Like we said a minute ago, a lot of beliefs about reptilians come from conspiracy theories. A conspiracy theory is the idea that some secret thing is causing events to happen. They're called theories because there's usually not much evidence to support them. Conspiracy theories around the reptilians are, just like in science fiction, that they are here to take over the world for different evil reasons. It's good to pause here and talk a little bit more about conspiracy theories. Sometimes it's fun to believe in something kind of wild, but there are also times where people can take it too far. For example, in 2020, a man exploded a bomb in a motorhome as part of his belief in reptilian aliens. He was killed, multiple people were injured, and multiple buildings were damaged. At other times, people have used conspiracy theories to promote prejudice against other groups of people, so it's best to think very critically when we come upon a conspiracy theory. Some accounts say that the reptilians are from the Draco constellation. That's right, the reptile-like aliens just happen to be from a group of stars named after dragons. This all seems a little too convenient for me. Some people theorize that reptilians can shapeshift, and that's how they've become a part of our government and are running human affairs secretly. They could look like you or me. The person sitting next to you as you listen to this podcast could be a reptilian alien, and how would you even know? Quick, ask them a question that only they would know the answer to. What did you give me for my birthday last year? What's my middle name? As disturbing as this thought is, it does answer one of the most important questions posed by this podcast. Do the reptilians wear pants? And the answer, clever listener, is, in some cases it seems, reptilians do wear pants, especially when they're impersonating human beings. So there you have it, the top 3 alien species, the Greys, the Nordics, and the Reptilians. For me, a lot of questions remain, such as, are aliens really visiting Earth? If they are, what do they want, and why don't more people know about it? Why don't we have more pictures and other evidence of that? If aliens aren't visiting Earth, why are people saying they are? Do aliens really exist? We hope one day to know for sure, but for right now, all we can do is sift through this evidence and make our best guess. As we reach the end of this episode, the lesson we learn is, the galaxy is a big place, and we don't know as much as we would like to know about what is going on in our own galactic neighborhood.
Me personally, I have never seen an alien, and if I ever thought I have, it's been explained away logically.
No, I have not seen an alien. No, but I still look up at stars when we're like driving and it's nighttime, or we're on a night walk out. And one time we saw a helicopter, and just to be fun, everybody said it was a spaceship.
I would probably like to be visited by an alien, because it would probably just be a cool experience.
And yeah, I would want to be visited by an alien because they're cool, and I would just like to meet one and like show them like Earth things. I would want to be visited by aliens because I think it would be cool to see an alien and to like check to like see if they really do have bald heads, if they are green, red, or gray, or any of those colors.
I believe aliens are real. I think probability of so many worlds out there there's probably a chance that there's life out there.
Yes, I think aliens are real, because there have been lots of alien encounters. Like, people have, claimed to be seeing aliens, over time since, the Roswell incident.
Are aliens real?
No,
Why do you say that?
because I never saw one before.
As you probably know, a part of this podcast is we are counting down to the Roswell UFO Festival, which takes place in the aforementioned Roswell, New Mexico, in 8 weeks on the 4th of July weekend, July 4th through the 6th, 2025. The festival is basically a celebration of the city of Roswell, UFO culture, curiosity, and critical thinking. If you're listening to this and you're an alien or an extraterrestrial and want to give your side of the story, reach out to me by sending me an email at aswppodcast@gmail.com or DM me on Instagram at aswppodcast or beam a message directly into my brain. If you need directions to Earth, we are located in the Orion arm of the Milky Way galaxy. It's green and blue, third planet from the sun. You can't miss it. We hope you have enjoyed this episode of Aliens Should Really Wear Pants. Please rate and review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and tell your friends. Thanks to Linus, Davey, Violetta, and Pierre for their contributions.
They have like huge, gigantic, bulbous, fungus